Hi all, Dave here, The Imperfect Individual. Hope you're all good. And an interesting few hours last night with the outage of, what was it, Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, and I think some other parts of the internet as well were a little bit shaky for a little while. And there are some theories abounding about why this may be, what exactly happened, what it means. Was it a technical glitch, albeit a very large one, or is there something else going on? I just want to say from the outset, I've got no clue. I've got no idea at all. My gut instinct, though, tells me there was something not quite right about that. And obviously, I've got no information. I've got no argument, really, to back that up. But what I will say is, if we just track back a little bit to August, I noticed that quite a long time ago now, public perception with regard to COVID and the need for lockdowns, etc., and whether we're being told the truth, public perception of that has shifted dramatically. That was back in the summer, to the point now where the likes of us now we are in the vast majority. Either people are fed up, they realise they're not being told the full truth, or can see it for exactly what it is, right? Now, that's coincided, except it's not a coincidence, with less and less and less coverage about COVID in the mainstream media. And as we know, it's the mainstream media that has driven this narrative on behalf of governments around the world, on behalf of, well, who? That's the question, but I'm not going to get into that right now. So, and of course that makes sense, doesn't it? Because I am going to come back to what happened last night and how it all fits into things, but governments around the world, they have psychologists working for them, analysing public behaviour and trying to influence it. In the UK, that is what they call behavioural insights team. The fact that any population would need a behavioural insights team to oversee them and to manage their behaviour, by the way, says everything you need to know about what's happened to Western society. However, that's where we are, but they're not stupid, they're very clever, and they've been able to influence, as they have admitted themselves, using tactics of fear to influence behaviour, to shape behaviour. They can also see now, though, these psychologists who are working on behalf of the government, they can see that the public's approach to what they're being told has changed. So the threat of lockdown has diminished to almost zero in my mind now. I did expect that by the time September came, there would be a real ramping up of propaganda with regard to coronavirus and hospitals coming under heavy pressure, and we're going to have to lock down, all the usual reasons, but that's not happened, has it? Why is that? Well, there's one reason, it's simple, and I think it's because the government knows they cannot get away with another lockdown anymore. I think that much is abundantly clear, and I think we need to acknowledge that we are now in the majority. I've said this a number of times. A majority of what? Well, just a majority of people who aren't going to go along with their bullshit any longer. That's all that's required. We can all have different opinions on what's going on. I don't know the truth, I just know that I've been told lies. So that's where we are, and hence why the subject of COVID has just slowly disappeared out the news. Not disappeared, but it's not got anywhere near the same blanket-to-blanket coverage as it has for the preceding, 16 months. That's interesting, isn't it? Now, what's happened since then is that the narratives of fear and control via our media have still been very omnipresent all the time. We had the situation in Afghanistan, didn't we? And again, many theories about what's really going on in Afghanistan. And that's a really difficult one. But I remember saying at the time to a couple of people, I said, give this 7 to 10 days, no one will be talking about Afghanistan anymore. And of course they weren't. A week later, Afghanistan completely disappeared from the news, didn't it? So what was that all about? And then we started hearing about food shortages now, and potentially for Christmas, maybe Christmas being cancelled. Well, not cancelled, but being affected by the fact there's not going to be enough turkeys. Just have another meat, by the way. I have some roast lamb. It's nicer than turkey. Anyway, And then what did we have? We had the fuel. First of all, the energy price increases, and again, our family's going to be able to. Are they going to keep themselves warm? Are they going to feed themselves? You know, that's the decision you ordinary souls have to make. You know, you plebs, you can either keep yourself warm or you can eat, but you can't do both. Then there was the petrol crisis, which, as we know, was not a crisis, but was blown into a crisis by the media narrative around that. And I did a video about that the other day. I'll put a link to it in the description. So there's been all these seemingly random events taking place, all with the common theme of trying to strike fear into a population to control them, and succeeding with I think only a small minority of the population with the alleged fuel shortages. You know, the selfish bastards who will probably be the same ones who went to panic by the toilet roll. But as I say, I did a video about that. Click it in the description. Then last night along comes the internet outage, or social media outage. Let me just say from the outset, if Facebook disappeared tomorrow like that, the world would instantly be a better place. It would. And I am aware of some theories, and I'm not going to use the term conspiracy theory, because for me, the term conspiracy theory is a ridiculous phrase anyway. Let's just call them theories. I'm sure most, if not all, of my viewers will know where the term conspiracy theory, when it was invented and why. You know, by the CIA to discredit anybody who wanted to stray off an iota off the narrative of why JFK was shot. It's a theory. It's somebody's opinion. The ironic thing is that we have been subjected to a conspiracy, though. We have. Well, that's the one thing, you know, that most people wouldn't describe as a conspiracy, is the very conspiracy that has taken place. But I'm not going to get into that right now either. So there's been a number of theories in the last few months about what may happen with regard to internet outage. In fact, these theories have been backed up by, I've seen a couple of videos that the World Economic Forum have done talking about kind of like a computer viral pandemic and how that may affect, what catastrophic impact that may have. There was a lot of talk around the time of the US election as well, I remember, about something similar happening, what it represents, who may be necessitating it, who may be in control. There was all the talk about, you know, good guys and bad guys, white hats and black hats. I can't get too embroiled in that theory. I can't give it too much credence because it's too vague for me. I don't have anything really to get my teeth into, but I find it interesting. And what I will say is that I think what happened yesterday wasn't just a random one-off event. It wasn't just Facebook and WhatsApp. Well, obviously Facebook owns WhatsApp. Facebook, WhatsApp and Instagram not working for a few hours. My gut instinct tells me it fits into these broader themes, you know, and these dots, which include COVID, which include fuel shortages, which include all Afghanistan, everything, all these dots. And you can add climate change into that. You can add everything into this. You can add the attempts to sabotage Brexit into that. You can add in the attempts to undermine Trump. You can add in the establishment-backed social movement groups such as Extinction Rebellion, Black Lives Matter. You can add, all of it is connected because it is the same people behind pulling the strings. I argue a lot of this in my book. Click the link in the description about the book if you want some more info, by the way. The famous dot connector, David Icke, you know, he has helped me actually to try to understand and stitch together events to spot a pattern. And in my mind, there is one. You know, a lot of events that seem random, a lot of them aren't. Difficult to prove, I know. But what we're having to do, as many of us learn to try and become really open-minded and use, you know, intuition. What are we feeling about this? Now, going back to the COVID situation, it's beyond my understanding now how anybody would continue to blindly follow government narrative, even when the government know themselves they've lost it, they've lost control, it's imploded. It's laughable actually now that anybody, if Boris Johnson came out and attempted to reassert some level of control, and don't get me wrong, We have still got a long, long way to go to win back all of these freedoms that we've lost. We are by no means there. But they know, and he knows, the public awareness has shifted on this. So the fact that some would still buy into the narrative being driven by some sections of the media, quite overtly still, such as the Guardian, the BBC is still doing it, but not to the same level. What I'm seeing now is starting to permeate through just little bits of truth, just filtering through, even into the mainstream media, exposing a side of this story that a lot of us have been commenting on and wanting other people to look at. That side of the story is starting to. Now, what do we want to call that? Do we want to call it exposing lies? We can call it that, can't we? Because I think it's very, very difficult. No, it's impossible to agree on what the truth is. The truth and truth are completely different things. The truth, we're never going to agree. Everyone's going to have a different opinion on it because no one's got all the information. I think we can all agree though on what a lie is. I think we can all coalesce around exposing a lie, and that's all we need to do. That's all that needs to be done, and I think that indeed is what is happening. Something else interesting is my videos. A couple of videos recently, I've gone close to the bone with regard to, is this going to get pulled by YouTube? I've talked about the NHS, only a little bit, but I just get the sense, and this might be me being optimistic and with a false optimism, but I don't think it is. I just get the sense you seem to be able to say a little bit more than you could maybe a month ago. I don't know. And then you tie that into what happened yesterday and think, what is going on? What I want to say here, right, is that, and I've said it for the last couple of months now, we are ahead of where we need to be, in my opinion, and I know others will disagree, and that's good, and we need that, because what is required is a constant evaluation and a debate about where we are on our road to bringing down this wall of tyranny. After a long, long time, I couldn't see any positives. I couldn't. I derive my positives not necessarily from information I'm seeing, stories about what's going on, and it's establishment showing themselves what they really are and all this kind of thing. I derive my optimism from other people around me who've woken up, and people in the general public who've woken up. That's what I do, because once you start questioning one thing, you just led into questioning everything else, then that's exactly what's required. Public awareness was always the first step that needed to be taken, and we have achieved that now. We have more than enough people aware that they're not being told the full story. So that's why I am optimistic. I do think that we're ahead of where we need to be, which isn't we don't want to fall into complacency, absolutely the last thing that we want to do. But I don't know, I see a narrative collapsing. I see increasingly desperate attempts to try to strike fear and to control. I do see in the near future, those attempts to strike fear and control are going to be, even more pronounced, and I don't know what's around the corner. But what I do know is that we have got now enough people who are sceptical, cynical, or downright can see exactly what's going on. As I say, I don't know how all these seemingly random events, how they do fit together to complete the puzzle, but I do think there's some connection between them. I really do. And what happened last night, my gut instinct tells me something. I don't know what though. So, you guys fill me in, leave a comment and let me know what you think last night was about. Also let me know, am I justified in my optimism, or should I be being a little bit more guarded? So let me know. Don't forget to subscribe. And that's today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.